Atheist Nomads, episode 306. Russian Orthodox Church is not in Russia.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin. Joining me is Lauren.
Without any kind of beer-induced gas.
And Aaron.
Hi.
And Jason.
Hello.
This week we're going to resume the series on Orthodox Christianity that started with episode 297 and continued in episodes 298 and 299.
He's really enjoying this, can you tell?
So we've had a little bit of a break from it. The Russian Orthodox Church's history in Russia is long, and its history in the U.S. is very convoluted. Why? Empire, revolution, and immigration. The end result is the various Russian churches within the U.S.
She does need a new diaper, though, so I'm going to go do that and calm her down a little bit. I'll be back.
I mean, I think it's great because she's upset about the topic and she's just, letting it be known. She's just going to cry through the whole thing
because she's like,
I'm upset about this topic.
She's like, no more orthodoxy.
Right.
Oh, this will be going on for weeks.
Yeah.
She just let everybody know how we're all going to feel. All right, weeks. Let's keep going.
So the oldest is the Orthodox Church in America, which got its start when a priest was sent to Kodiak Island, where a Russian colony was being established in what was then Russian Alaska.
Okay, so we're talking Alaska. All right.
1794.
Well, it's probably cold, and they were wearing a lot of furs. You know what kind of fur they were probably wearing? Otter.
Otters are too small.
No, they have the warmest fur out of marine mammals, out of any mammal, because they don't have blubber to keep them warm, and so they have to rely on their fur. Anyway, whatever, All
right. So part of why the priest was sent was because there was already Russian Orthodox Christians among the Alaskan natives in the Aleutian Islands. Mm-hmm. And this was because they were converted during trade contact with Siberian fur traders earlier in the 18th century. By 1796, one of the priests was consecrated a bishop, and just 2 years later, he was recalled back to Russia to report to the imperial authorities about how the natives were being treated in the colony. If you want me to sum it up, not well.
Well, yeah, no, of course not. I think we all know that that no one was nice to any native.
I don't think I've ever heard any story where and they went to the other country and we were really great to them.
Right, exactly. We really sat down and we really listened to understand where they were coming from on their own land. Mm-hmm. We don't want to learn anything from you because we're white and we know what we're talking about.
So after he reported to the horrible conditions in the colony, he died due to bad weather on the voyage back. Nothing suspicious. It was just a storm hit his ship and he died.
You know what? I want to say there was something suspicious. I want to say that
God was cursing him.
No!
We're opening up this cold case.
He was struck down by God for questioning the imperial ways.
No, obviously I wouldn't say that because I don't believe that. I was going to say somebody put some shit in his drink or something.
Probably some literal shit.
No, the ship was destroyed.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but the ship was a cover-up for the fact that he got poisoned.
Oh, man.
Collateral damage.
It's like everybody's got to die for this one motherfucker.
All right, so he wasn't replaced, and in 1811, the Episcopal See in Alaska was officially closed. In 1824, another priest was sent to Alaska, and in 1840, he was made the Bishop of Kamchatka, the Kurili, and the Aleutian Islands. So, far eastern Russia, far western North America. And he took the name Innocent at that point. So, Bishop Innocent.
Suspicious.
Oh, I'm not even going to go into that. Never mind. I was going to be on brand for baby killing, but we won't do that.
Maybe.
No, I was going to say...
Just spit it.
I did not find any evidence of that.
Edit it. No, I was just saying it's an interesting name to choose because a lot of people who are guilty of shitty things try and, like that guy who stabs those children at a birthday party, tried to change his name to True Love or some shit like that so he could seem like, no, I would never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bad one.
But he, consequently, he did not make the hearing to get it heard because he was in jail.
Oh, it wasn't just because he was in jail. He was sent for psychiatric confinement.
Right. I think that was on purpose so that he could not make the court date is what I'm trying to say. I think people were like, no, motherfucker, we're not going to give you space or time.
And it was God's love was what he was going to change his name
love,
to.
exactly.
God's love.
Yeah.
I roll for anybody not watching us live. Just joking, we're not live.
So then in 1867, the U.S. purchased Alaska from the Russian Empire, which prompted the diocese to be reorganized as the Aleutian Islands and Alaska, taking out the far eastern Asian portions of it. And after a church was established in San Francisco, the Episcopal See moved to San Francisco, probably for warmer weather.
I mean, it's not that much warmer of what I hear of it. Some author who said the coldest winter he's ever encountered was a summer in San Francisco. My dad likes to say that a lot to me, and I've forgotten which author that was.
Less snow.
No, that's not. No.
Depending on where in Alaska.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, so he moved to San Francisco, and at that point, the diocese was renamed Aleutian Islands and America.
Right.
The Aleutians outranked all the rest of North America, the entire continent at that point still, because of how many Aleutian Inuits had converted.
Oh, what a crazy thing. They probably were like, we better convert so that we don't die.
Yeah, maybe a bit of that.
No, I would say that's a big
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it, but I would say that's a big thing, probably.
So once they were in the continental U.S., the church quickly became multi-ethnic as other Orthodox and Eastern Rite Catholic immigrants joined with them. The Eastern Rite Catholics, because they tried going to more traditional Catholic churches and were viewed as being strange and not Catholic. So they felt more at home with the Orthodox community. And that all continued until the Bolsheviks took over in Russia.
I just think it's really interesting, maybe because I'm like, everybody, why can't we just get along? It's like everybody in these groups seem to have like a common theme or goal in mind, but yet they're like,
Nope.
no, you're too strange for us. Like, you can't sit with us.
Right.
That's how I feel like they're saying. But it's like, but all of you are doing the same thing.
Oh, you know what the biggest problem was? The Eastern Rite Catholic priests were married.
And now it comes out, it's the sex.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all sick.
That's what it ultimately comes down to.
It's all
because
biology.
With Eastern Orthodoxy, only bishops have to be celibate. Priests can be married.
Priests get to boom.
So often it ends up being that bishops become bishops after their wives die.
Oh, so they're old dudes who are sad.
It's like, I'm sad, but I did get a promotion.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So then, well, and like in the case of Bishop Innocent, the reason why he wasn't consecrated a bishop until 1840 was his wife died in the late 1830s.
Right.
So that was the only thing holding him back from becoming a bishop.
Right.
So anyway,
he's like, no one else is going to fuck me now, so I might as well just do this.
The Bolsheviks took over in Russia. So at that point, a lot of Orthodox people, especially outside of Russia, were very suspect of the Russian Orthodox Church. So many of the non-Russian churches joined with their own national churches, such as the Greek churches, moving to create the Greek Orthodox Church of America under the Greek Orthodox Church in Greece, and the Antiochian Orthodox Church that had been founded by a Syrian priest under the support and funding of the Russian Orthodox Church, joining with the Antiochian Catholic Orthodox Church out of Damascus. We will get more into these other Orthodox churches later, but they are relevant at this point. Then Patriarch Tikhon, who we had talked about in an earlier episode, he had been archbishop in the U.S. at one point, and he resisted the communist government. Before he was sent to prison, he directed the churches outside of Russia to become self-governing until normal communication and relations could be restored. However, when communication was restored, nobody wanted to restore that communication.
Yeah, of course.
They didn't want to give up self-governance.
No.
Yeah, plus that guy had a record.
Well, they were also rightly suspicious of the Moscow Patriarchate under KGB influence.
As they should be. Those motherfuckers did whale hunting when there was a ban on whale hunting.
The KGB.
And then they didn't, like the Russians during that time, and then they didn't mark down anything.
Well, how else are you going to get that clean burning whale blubber?
I know. I'm just going to keep bringing back the theme to this thing that I don't use anymore, so I'm going to flex it right now.
Somebody else is trying to Aaron out the degree.
Dustin off the degree.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah,
no,
she's just dusting off. Damn it, Jason! She's also dusting off hers.
Yeah, I was like,
see,
airing out the degree.
Yeah, but the segment after this is going to be airing out the dirty laundry.
Get it?
Yeah.
It's her name too, like your name's
Yes.
Dustin. Do you guys get
We
it?
get it.
We get it. So, yeah, when communication was restored, the group in the U.S. refused to give up their self-governance, and they started calling themselves the American Metropolita.
That's a fancy sounding name.
Metropolia.
See, it's so fancy we
Metropolia.
can't.
Metropolyamory.
And then finally, in 1970, they were able to patch things up with the Moscow Patriarchate, which agreed to grant them autocephaly. Autocephaly.
It sounds like a cephalopod.
Autocephaly.
Yeah, they can like appoint their own heads of organizations, probably.
Just making them the head of the organization is actually the head of the organization.
Right.
Gotcha.
Not subservient to somebody else.
Yeah.
Roger, Dad.
This is something that groups under Russian influence, Orthodox churches under Russian influence, have continued to recognize this autocephaly, but nobody else in the Orthodox world recognizes it, including the Patriarch of Constantinople.
Because
You can't go back to that.
He views it as having been something that the Russian Patriarch did not have the right to do because he was under Soviet control and thus not a valid patriarch. When they got the autocephaly, they took the name Orthodox Church in America. Because of the multi-ethnic nature of it, they decided to drop Russian from it and just be the Orthodox Church in America.
Right.
The Orthodox Church in America continues to this day and is considering a possible merger with the Antiochian Orthodox Christian Diocese in the United States because of their early history together.
Yeah.
They are also a part of the Assembly of Canonical Orthodox Bishops of the United States of America, which churches under the Russian Patriarchate have left as a result of the schism between Moscow and Constantinople over Ukraine.
God, it's like listening to comedians fight in our private group.
I know,
Which
it really is. It's
we
like,
also talked about in episode 299.
Yeah.
Most of the members of the OCA today are not ethnically Russian. They have a proportionately large number of members from Alaskan Native and non-Russian Slavic populations. But realistically, most of their members are your pretty milquetoast white Western European American.
Yeah.
So then there is the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia, which during the Russian Civil War, some priests and bishops fled. Others were exiled once the Bolsheviks were in control. Initially, they fled to Constantinople, and then in 1921, they settled in Serbia, creating a temporary synod claiming authority over all Russian Orthodox churches outside of Russia, including in the United States. The American Metropolia was not willing to accept their authority, but some of their member churches were and switched over. Interestingly, the Russian Orthodox Church here in Boise is a part of the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia.
Oh, cool.
Because I bet we have a lot of immigrants who have come over. And I know we did. Refugees of some sort.
And so then, when it became possible to have regular communication with the Moscow Patriarchate, they refused, since the Patriarchate demanded that they swear allegiance to the Soviet Union, which they were not willing to do.
Right.
In fact, this group was staunchly and actively working in favor of restoring the Tsar.
So we're talking about going back to a monarchy.
Yep, they were monarchists.
Monarchans.
That is also a different sect that we may or may not talk about.
No, I mean, why would we?
When was the last Tsar?
1917, when Tsar Nicholas was
with the
assassinated.
Anastasia thing, there's a cartoon movie.
Sorry, I'm studying Japanese history right now.
Right. That's how I get all my Russian history, through Disney movies. Wasn't there something with the Great Mouse Detective had some Russian thing in it too?
Bible did, I know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Mouskovitzes were refugees.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there was also something with the Great Mouse Detective.
I've never seen that one.
But Basil of Baker Street.
Yeah, I thought there was some Russian thing
it could
on
be.
there. But anyway, I digress. Again, I get all my Russian history from animated Disney movies.
Okay, so
let's talk Pocahontas next.
I mean, we were talking about indigenous people. We might as well,
So
right?
then World War II starts. And the Nazis conquered Yugoslavia, meaning the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia was in Nazi territory, which they loved. They ended up being granted authority over all Russian Orthodox churches within Nazi-controlled territories. The Nazis built them a cathedral in Berlin. They even wrote letters to Adolf Hitler thanking him for his support and great patriotism.
Well, I don't know if you know this, guys. It's a little known fact that Hitler was quite the fan of the arts.
Yeah.
I just want to say that because I had a friend that just popped in my head, but I had a friend. I have a friend in Portland, and her neighbor's German, and she just said that to her randomly one day because I think she must have been doing some kind of report on Germany around World War II, and her German neighbor was like, I don't know, people know this, but Hitler, he was a very big fan of the arts.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I guess you had to be there.
Misunderstood Hitler.
I know.
he started out as an art student.
Yeah, that's where his anger came from because he
his art
was
was shitty.
yeah, exactly. And he was like, "Whoa, you're going to oppress me? Well, I can speak loudly."
My fruits do not look like fruits. That's the worst accent I've
So
ever
then when the Red Army was approaching Belgrade in 1944, they left for Vienna. Then they went on to Munich. And in 1950, they moved to New York.
New York, New York. If you can't make it there, you can't make it anywhere. So,
and they did, taking the cathedral that had switched over to them when they claimed authority over all Orthodox Christians. Yeah, so they already had a cathedral waiting for them.
Oh, beautiful.
Currently, they get almost all of their budget from renting a school. Literally renting out a property to be a school, a private school in New York.
Oh, I could see that being very lucrative.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and it's tax free, right? Since they're a church.
Probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. So then the church outside Russia continued to oppose the Moscow Patriarchate after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, even working on plans to create free Russian churches in former Soviet territories. Then, starting in 2000, moves towards reunification with Moscow began, including visits to Russia by the first hierarch and visits to New York from the Patriarch and Vladimir Putin.
Putin.
These talks resulted in a schism spawning off the Russian Orthodox Church in exile, which itself broke apart into 4 separate factions.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So schism, could I just say it in dumb people terms? That just means that they broke off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Schism is an old term for splinter.
You've used it twice now, and so I'm like, let me make sure that I understand that means they broke apart.
Yeah.
Yes.
She wanted to add schism to her schema.
And so then finally in 2007, the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia reunified with the Russian Orthodox Church and entered into full communion with the Patriarchate of Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting for those crazy kids to get back together.
Which means the Russian Orthodox Church in your town, like the one in our town, if it is a part of the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia, is under Vladimir Putin's direct control.
So they've been rigging the elections.
An agent of the Russian Orthodox Church is an agent of Putin's state.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Like basically Putin's private property.
I feel like Dustin's trying to let everybody know, hello.
That's my band's name, Putin's Private Property.
Really?
That's a good...
That would be a good one.
No, that's a really good one. I like it. You know, the non-existent band that you're never going to... It's all air
Like that,
instruments, too.
That'd be a good punk name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Putin's private property.
Enough with all the Bolshevik.
And so then, all right, that covers the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia.
Very nice.
There are additionally 50 parishes in the United States that are just straight up part of the Russian Orthodox Church, directly under the Moscow Patriarchate.
Okay.
Now, while some Russian, either historically or currently Russian churches in the U.S., and really anywhere else in the Western world, still follow the Byzantine Rite using Old Church Slavonic, that means they're doing the traditional Orthodox church service. Most have adopted the Western Rite, which was developed in the late 19th and early 20th century, and it uses the local language and effectively is an adaptation of the Anglican liturgy, including the Book of Common Prayer, with corrections to bring it in line with Orthodox doctrine. So what this means, harking back to the original question that started this whole series, is to find out what a Russian Orthodox church in your town is like, will probably require visiting it and asking the priest which organization he's a part of, and whether they follow the Byzantine or Western Rite.
You know, because I'm sure they love people coming in off the street and being like, can I ask you a question? What do you follow?
We asked the... I would have new questions to ask
you'd hope
priest
that they'd be like, yeah, let me answer that for you if you really had a question. But I feel like there's other churches who would be like, get the fuck out of my face, you weirdo. You don't ask me that. Did you talk to Dustin? That's what they're going to ask. Have you been talking to Dustin?
Yeah, it's like such a specific line of inquiry that they all have a memo.
Vladimir warned us about this.
Right. We've been hearing about this person.
That's my second band.
I have no idea how many watch lists I'm on, but yeah.
Putin shit list.
But if the church is a Western Rite church, then except for the aesthetics, it probably wouldn't be very different from an Episcopal or Catholic church. There is still a lot more to cover about the Orthodox churches, and in the coming weeks, we will talk about true Orthodoxy.
True?
The Orthodox extremists. You will never believe what set them off.
Click here for more info.
And don't forget to share.
We will talk about the Patriarchate of Constantinople, which has almost no members. It's copyright, so please don't.
Lauren and I were really going to have a good time singing that song about Constantinople.
You can sing it during the break.
We can't.
Can we sing it backwards so it's like Constantinople, not Istanbul?
And also the other related churches to the Patriarchate of Constantinople that are not necessarily related to the Russian church. We're also going to talk about the Oriental Orthodox churches.
Ew, I don't like that title at all.
What was that?
Oriental Orthodox?
Now we're getting into what I'm studying.
Yeah.
Nope, wrong Oriental. We're talking early 20th century Oriental, not late 20th century Oriental.
Every time you say it, it makes me cringe a bit. I'm like, I don't like that.
In this specific use of the term,
I get what you're saying. It doesn't
Western Asia.
Right.
Yeah,
it doesn't make me feel
people.
any better about the term. I know. I get it, you two. Anyway, whatever.
When we get to them, we will mostly be using the name of the specific church we're talking about, not the overarching term.
Right.
And if I work this out just right, this will segue nicely into Rastafarians and hippies.
Oh, I mean, that sounds lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break now.
Okay.
And after the sponsor message, we will be back.
And we're back. This is Jason. I'm the new host. No, I'm just kidding.
If you would like to get the show ad-free, you can find out how at atheistnomads.com/donate. Currently, the secret or the answer to that question is become a patron.
Yeah.
Well, spoiler.
So, in the news, a study from George Washington University has found that Russian trolls have been helping spread the anti-vax movement on Twitter.
Okay.
Like every other controversy they get involved in, they use the approach of trying to exaggerate both sides effectively throwing gasoline on the fire and making it so that nobody can communicate with each other.
Yeah, that worked.
If that sounds familiar, they have destroyed conversation and discourse in the United States.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, this was something that my mom was commenting on, and she's like, there used to be common decency, but that's gone the wayside. I'm like, yeah, there it goes.
Russia killed it. The more you look, like, I don't know how much Russia's involved in. I'm sure none of us know how much Russia's involved in.
Yeah.
But I know it's a whole lot more than we know.
Yeah. And every day we're coming up with something else.
There was even a plot that was uncovered in some email exchanges that got intercepted somehow, where they were working on a plan to radicalize black nationalists in the U.S. to literally end the Union. Like, to make the United States not a thing anymore.
I mean, maybe we shouldn't be a thing anymore. I don't know. I know.
Cascadia proud!
I mean, I just want my house to become its own independent country, and I can rule over it and not have to pay taxes.
I'm just going to move to Australia.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right, so you want to have be a sovereign citizen.
Screw that. I'm going to go straight for a...
I mean, if Peter Griffin did it, then I definitely can do it.
So basically, you're saying you just
old school family guy.
So you're basically saying you want to be a freeloader and not pay for your share on the roads and police and fire and water and sewer.
I mean, people think that already, right?
Yeah, it's true.
They do.
They're called conservatives.
And they've been radicalized by the fucking Russians.
Where's the soundboard?
Yeah, I know.
Gosh
right?
darn it.
We've been busy.
Yeah,
no, I know.
But seriously.
But really.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, you fucking Ruskies.
I said no, but then someone gave us money for it. So now that my voice has been vetoed.
Oh, no, he's talking about the Russians.
Oh, just kidding.
What did you think I said?
I have no idea what you're saying. I thought you were... I don't... Never mind. Edit.
Nope, that's going in.
Edit. Okay.
Right, so...
how do I know that Dustin wants to move on? He won't say like, hey, move on. He'll be like, okay. Every time.
Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Right. But that's okay because I also have been roasted hard. That's not a hard roast. I've been roasted hard by saying, Erin Riley, her last words will be, yeah.
Oh.
Or, oh, shit. It was funny. It was something along those lines where I'm like, yeah, see? All right.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
I'm going to pull it up and it's going to be anticlimactic.
Would you rather have a gavel?
I have two.
No, absolutely not, patriarchy. I don't want you to have a gavel.
We would have to set it on fire.
Right, exactly. And videotape it on...
Yeah, there you go. You have to have me make the noise for you.
Because this is what I say. It's like, I just think this is hilarious. We are friends, but this is in my mind. Is anybody else here that he wants to shut up the lady by hitting a gavel? I know that that's not the thing, but it's just in my mind. And it makes me laugh. It helps.
All right.
In the midst of a whooping cough outbreak in 3 Maine counties, and the fact that the state has the highest whooping cough rate in the entire U.S., they have passed a new law that removes all non-medical exemptions to childhood vaccination. This will go into effect in 2021.
What?
Students who already have the exemption will be able to get a letter from their medical provider saying that risks have been discussed and they'll be fine, but no new non-medical exemptions will be granted starting September 2021.
That's stupid.
This is the weakest absolute vaccination rule.
But they're trying.
Okay, we're going to do this in a couple of years.
Yeah, but
and only a little.
Here's me playing devil's advocate and trying to think on the positive side. Policy does take a while to come into effect, and they are trying to do whatever they can, which positively...
They're trying to do whatever they can for the current outbreak, which they're ignoring.
It's dumb. Yep. Yes, I get it, but they're like, hey, this will be the Band-Aid to solve it for if this happens again. and this is a bunch of shit tape that I have to go through to make this a thing. I mean,
and then that still
it's
leaves
dumb.
current kids that
I hear
are
you.
exempted
for sure.
out there spreading their germs.
Spreading the disease.
Now,
Yeah.
on the plus side,
disease vectors.
in 15 years, every student in Maine schools will be fully up to date on their vaccines
we
or have
go.
a valid medical excuse.
Except they won't, because somebody's going to sue,
Right,
and this is going to get rolled back, and we'll be nowhere again.
You are being very pessimistic about this, Lauren. Maybe we no.
Yeah, and it is Maine.
It's so funny because I just described myself in like my top 3 words. How I describe myself as optimistic.
Except for when it comes to children's
Except for
vaccinations.
when it comes to the freaking these anti-vax movements.
Well, let's hope that doesn't. Let's hope that.
Yeah,
I know
let's-
Maine seems
I'll
a little
work
more
to make it.
progressive,
Yeah,
right?
let's get the vaccination rates up so the leading cause of death in children in Maine is clowns in the sewer.
Right. Oh yes. God damn
Because it's the
it.
home place
Yeah.
of Stephen King.
Oh, okay.
But wait, but
Pew pew pew. That was a great one.
that was
I like
very
it.
nice. But isn't the town that it is based on not in Maine?
The book was based on an actual clown in Maine.
Oh, okay, then it
okay.
was.
Yeah,
Stephen
yeah.
King, lived and was friends with.
Because that at the time is not the number one killer of children. But yes, I think that's
In
a better.
Maine,
yes,
I'm
in
guessing
Maine.
either cranberry bog or moose.
Well, no, and I think like
Moose and
Kids
Squirrel.
getting boiled
Moose and
by
squirrel.
butter.
And then
Well, right
the,
now
the
there's a
Russians
lobster
are involved
fest.
again.
We're right back. Yep.
right, and right now we're at because people aren't vaccinated, but soon it will be all the absurd reasons to die.
Yes. I like
Good
butter
spin
burns.
on it.
Okay,
Butter
so
burns.
if we can
Lobster is
fix
good with
this
butter.
one,
Yeah.
it'll leave car accidents still as the most common reason for children to die.
I like how Dustin
car accidents.
Dustin does have to put the real statistic in
This
there.
show
like,
really does come back to child death a lot.
I right?
Huh, Dustin. I wonder why that is.
I
Kylie,
want fewer
run.
children to die.
Right, we all do.
So stop driving around with them.
We need self-driving cars.
Do we though?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
do we feel like that's a good thing? Because
They're
didn't
already
someone
better.
already?
we feel
Yeah, they're
no,
better
didn't.
now.
Wasn't there already a fatality
One.
because of it?
One.
One.
out of how many a
Okay,
day
you're
from
right.
idiot.
when they first came around, it's true there was a lot of accidents, but
Yeah.
that because of cosmic rays doing bit flips in the computers, and they didn't
okay.
have backup systems.
Okay.
But now they have backup systems in case
Yeah.
those random particles hit it, switches a flip. Because the problem with Priuses a few years back was that they were getting hit by cosmic rays. Nothing you can do about that. They
Yep.
go
Right.
through us all the time.
Right.
But it hits the circuit board and it causes a bit to flip, and it made cars not able to stop accelerating.
Little green men.
Okay, all right. I mean, if we want to oversimplify
Yeah,
it like
the
that,
gremlin
but that's
thing.
not
That's
true.
not. We're simplifying. That's what.
No,
But with the
Oh, I see. You're making fun of him for going too into detail, which is usually Dustin's job.
no, I loved
And a
every
lot of
minute of
times-
this.
a
I don't
lot
know
of
what I'm
times-
doing.
a lot of the early accidents with self-driving cars were caused by them not wanting to risk killing a person. And so they would take the option of crashing into a car rather than hitting a pedestrian. And being overly cautious about, will that person step out into the road?
Okay.
They're
Heck,
getting
that
better at
paranoids
calculating
me.
that.
I don't.
You know-
I can't guess. 90% of the time, if somebody's sitting on the sidewalk, I have no idea if they're about to step out in the road or
Right,
not.
exactly. It's scary. And having been hit by a car recently,
Oh,
I mean, not recently. It was just winter, beginning of spring. Anyway, here. I was going to say something, and now I can't remember, so it doesn't matter. Jetsons. When are we going to get to that? I thought that should be here now.
As soon as the
I at least want
pollution
the
on the
car
earth
sound
makes us
effect.
have to be above the clouds.
Right.
Okay, so you know how electric cars are completely silent and they're adding sounds to make it sound
Right.
like an engine?
Yeah.
Screw that. I want Jetsons sound.
That would be great. Yes.
That would be.
comic relief. Who could have road rage when you hear that?
Oh my God.
Right?
Maybe
You'd be
GPS.
yeah.
GPS could be take a left at the next skyway, Mr. J.
Mr. J.
It'll be great.
Meltdown. So toddler
Tyler.
toddler Kylie has fully gone into toddlerhood. She is having tantrums for no reason. I was in a public bathroom and she was standing at the door because I wouldn't let her sit, which caused her to bang her hands up against the door, bang her head into the door, and just cry. And by the time I picked her up, there were tears all over the little floor. And it was like, oh, baby, because
Poor
she
thing.
wanted to sit and I wouldn't let her.
Right.
It's like when I try to go shopping at Fred Meyer since they got rid of the Big and Talls.
Boo.
And so there's tears.
Yeah, now I'm like, nobody wants to dress me.
Oh,
Men's
All right.
Warehouse does.
So the Supreme
for
Court
money.
The Men's Swear House, you're goddamn right.
Well, okay, the Men's Warehouse does have it is like one of the fastest places in the country where you can walk in and have a man start reaching into your
Manhandle
crotch.
you.
Hey, there you go. Don't
She's
tell.
mad that I won't let her hit me.
It's called the inseam, sir. That's what the pros call it.
Yeah, but when they're putting that tape right up there, yeah.
How much for you to suck my inseam?
I'm gonna need a little swing room.
I mean, I get it. Inappropriate touching does not feel good. Again, right on cue.
Yeah.
That's how we feel.
The Supreme Court upheld Indiana's abortion law requiring that aborted remains be buried or cremated.
Oh my god.
The finding was that this does
The
not
whole
create
4 of them.
Yeah.
The finding was that this does not create an undue burden or create a restriction on access to abortion, despite adding roughly $800 or much, 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 much more to the price tag for the procedure. And it's also a requirement that doesn't apply to a miscarriage. So it's not that all fetal remains must be cremated or buried.
Right.
It's just if it's an abortion.
Yeah. I just saw an Onion article that said that in Louisiana, again, I will say this one more time, an Onion article saying in Louisiana, saying that in Louisiana they're going to have funeral parades for every aborted fetus.
Man.
Onion. So close to the truth, it'll make you cry.
Right?
Yeah. So, yeah. Again, to make sure this is clear, if it's medically induced,
Right.
the rules apply. If it's a spontaneous abortion, the rules do not.
So, like,
Well, I know,
sign-ups for kickboxing classes have gone way up.
Right. So the whole
Or request to join the Satanic Temple, which has responded to this, saying that it violates its members' sincerely held religious belief that prior to viability, a fetus is an inviolable part of a woman's body. So they will be seeking religious exemptions under Indiana's Religious Freedom Restoration
good.
Act.
That's a great
The Church of Satan is the good guys once again.
right.
Yep.
Although they're
Hail
still a
Satan!
church.
Satanic Temple,
Satanic Temple.
not
yeah.
the Church of Satan. Different group.
Oh.
Oh, my bad. It's not the Judean People's Front, you dumb fuck. It's the People's Front of Judea.
God damn it.
So good.
Yeah, for sure.
And if their religious exemptions are not granted for this mandated ceremonial requirement, they will take it to court.
Well, that's good. And I think it's very important to just do as much as we can, because this is absurd. And so then there needs to be counters to the absurdity of this whole thing.
Yep.
It is all an attack on females. I mean, it's all attack on women. All of this stuff is to shame and make you feel
Slut shame, essentially. Even
Yeah, not cool.
I mean,
Sluts
even
are
more.
awesome.
I mean, I love
sluts are people too.
Yeah.
No, it is absolutely about imposing monetary penalties. It just furthers to keep women
Right.
down and poor.
This woman actually showed her bill to an ER visit where she sprained her ankle, and they gave her a pregnancy test, which was a strip that she peed in a cup. It was a strip.
Yep.
They put it in there, and it was $439. And she has been going back and forth with like, why is it 400? And they're like, oh, well, it's this. And she's like, no, that's not what it was, because, like trying to say it was a more involved test. And she's like, really? Because the nurse just sat there with my pee cup and the strip, pulled it out and said, nope. And they were trying to go around and say it was like, oh, no, there was more analyzing and of your urine. She's like, no, because the nurse then had me dump it out in the toilet. So I know it didn't
wow.
go back to a laboratory.
And I work in a laboratory. Pregnancy tests are cheap.
Yep.
They're throwaway tests.
And
Yep.
also, if
But if they can get insurance to pay a lot
Yep.
for it,
Which the insurance didn't.
if it is part of protocol to perform the test,
I don't. I hear what you're trying to do, and you're trying to justify it, and I don't. It's
No.
not. It's not justification.
No.
It feels like that's what you're saying right now. But
no,
okay.
If it is protocol that a test has to be performed for being in the hospital, they cannot legally charge for it.
Also, it's a sprained ankle.
Right. That's what exactly.
Absolutely
that's what her
not
whole
relevant.
Thing. Exactly. She was like, this had nothing to do with anything. I told them that I wasn't pregnant. Like, that is so invasive too. I have been in the ER and not been sexually active, and they are like, so are you pregnant? Is there any reason for you to be pregnant? It's like, and I get that they think that they're it's just invasive and dumb.
No,
and I'm like, thank you for letting me know that I am a spinster right now.
Now,
Sure, what?
Spinster right now.
Oh, a spinster.
in all practicality, though, the reason is if she was pregnant, they would have transferred her to the maternity ward.
Okay, but
ERs don't touch pregnant women.
Right.
Urgent cares don't touch pregnant women.
And then it would have been cheaper. Because in the ER, they jack up all the prices for everything. So, damn it, if she wasn't... Gosh,
but
she should be cursing herself.
If it was protocol to do the test...
Mm-hmm. That's what they said.
And it just applies because you are a woman.
Right.
Then they cannot legally charge for that.
Well, I'm glad I know this fact now.
It's like if a hospital does a MRSA screen on everybody who's having surgery, they cannot charge for the MRSA screen. If they only do it if they think you're at high risk for MRSA, then they can. Now, they would probably argue that they are assuming that because you are a woman of childbearing age, you are at high risk of pregnancy, therefore it's a justifiable test to do. That is bullshit and discriminatory.
Absolutely. And I think that was her whole point, too, was that this is bullshit and I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to pay for that because you made me, even though I told you I wasn't pregnant, and you made me do this.
Oh, but women lie. Oh, you sneaky women.
Oh, I know. Women be shopping and women be lying.
All right. So Alabama has just destroyed traditional marriage.
Yay?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay.
Out of spite.
Out of spite, yes. To avoid judges being required to officiate same-sex marriages and to avoid clerks having to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, Alabama just passed a law eliminating marriage licenses and the requirement that vows be officiated by a judge or minister. Now, couples will just have to have their marriages recorded by the county clerk, no questions asked.
Does that mean that they have to look at the video, though?
Nope.
Oh, sweet. They just say...
literally, you walk in, you tell the clerk, hey, we're married now.
Yeah.
The clerk says, okay, mark it down. You're married.
Nice.
Don't have to tip the judge $40 anymore.
Now, this sounds nice.
I don't think it is nice, though. I feel like there's a big but coming on.
Like when you want to get your spouse added on to your health insurance.
Right.
Are they going to give you a certificate that they recorded the marriage?
Damn it.
If you're trying to buy a house and you need to prove that you're married, are they going to be providing... What documentation are they going to be providing in lieu of a marriage certificate? Because I know when Lauren and I need to prove that we're married, I have a piece of paper from the state of Idaho saying that we are married.
Yeah.
And if they're taking that away, they have destroyed marriage.
Right.
Very, very literally.
That's Alabama for you.
Yep, they're in a race for the bottom.
Florida. I saw a meme on Facebook yesterday that it was Professor McGonagall chewing out the three main characters of Harry Potter. And being like, and she was labeled as America. And she's like, why is it that when something happens, you three are involved? And Harry, Hermione, and Ron were labeled California, Alabama, and Florida.
Florida's coming up later.
It always comes up. I love this. I used to listen to this podcast or something where they used to have a segment called Florida Germany. Man. Is it Florida or Germany?
That's funny.
I listen to a podcast called Florida Men, where it's two guys in South Florida talking about the crazy antics of people in Florida.
Do you think it's the heat?
Heat?
Heat.
Oh, the heat?
What I started noticing
I
is...
don't know. I mean, that's just the theory.
The Florida Man stories all sound like stuff that happened in Grants Pass in the summer times. I think it's a combination of warm, long evenings.
Right.
Where people are drinking way too much.
There we go.
And meth.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is that, like, the sections of Florida are so different from one another. Because when I think of Florida, what do I think of? Is like Miami and Orlando. Yeah. Like these
And Key West.
But then I realized that, oh, right, there's like backwoods, back swamp.
Yeah, there's Fort Myers and Tallahassee.
And that's a lot more, right, than those small places. That's kind of the same way with Oregon.
Yeah.
There's the belt of the Willamette Valley, and then everybody else that's not Willamette Valley.
So my favorite character on The Good Place is Jason from Jacksonville.
So like in Grants Pass, everybody there. Okay, now it's just straight up weird. That or I've just been away long enough that it all just looks really weird to me now.
Probably
Grants Pass, Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Growing up, it was half the population was hippies and half the population was rednecks. Seems like it's all hippies now. I'm sure the weed business has definitely helped with that.
I heard like Oregon has an excess of weed right now that they're trying to be like, okay, stop growing.
They're working on laws to restrict growing because they have 6 years worth in the state.
I mean, pass it on over to Idaho, I wish.
And Idaho's like, no.
Right. No, tax money that we could use to improve our schools?
Yeah.
You could use that money to fight gay marriage, Idaho.
Ah, man. Hey, we're going to take a break. And after a word from our sponsors, we'll be back with the rest of the news.
News.
The U.S. Supreme Court did something good so far, at least.
What?
In declining to hear a case, which was an appeal from the conservative Christian group, the Alliance Defending Freedom, in their lawsuit against the Pennsylvania school district policy that allowed trans students to use the bathroom that matches their gender identity. So as a result, the lower court ruling in favor of the district policy stands, and trans girls aren't at as high of risk being raped at that school.
Good. That's good until there's going to be appeals to that, unfortunately.
No, there can't be.
Oh, thank God.
They lost their final chance of appeal.
Oh, good.
The Supreme Court said no.
Don't you know what the Supreme Court is?
Look at me.
It's like a regular court, but with sour cream.
Oh. And some tomatoes.
This is the second best outcome that could have come from it. The best would have been they took the case and ruled in favor of the school district.
Yeah.
Meaning that trans kids have the right to, or at least school districts have the right to make policy saying that trans kids can use the bathroom of their choice.
Right.
They went with the next best option, which is at least in that circuit court, it is binding precedents that trans kids can use the bathroom of their choice. Or at least school districts can make those rules.
Right.
Yeah, good. That's good.
Nice. That's really good.
Not the best, but okay.
Right. It's not dead babies, so that's great.
Yeah, could have been better.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, could be if we think of it. But
trans kids have it tough, man.
They really do.
People are like, oh, it's a choice. Like, oh, yeah, let's choose. Like, I'm already like a teen or a child, and I don't know my place in the world. I'm trying to figure out my identity. Let's go ahead and just add this heap of abuse on top of that.
I could not even imagine.
That is my choice.
Yeah, right? Like, I choose to have all this shit.
Yeah.
That's fucking bullshit. It is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Poor little trans kids.
I know.
The World Health Organization has dropped gender identity disorder from its diagnostic manual and is encouraging governments around the world to reform their laws and health systems to not consider merely being trans or non-binary a mental disorder.
Because, first of all, not a choice. Should not be a mental disorder. But I'm sure it comes with other things
which
like depression and anxiety.
Which still are classifiable and diagnosable.
Yeah.
What being a comedian should be classifiable.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So this doesn't remove gender dysphoria from being a diagnosable mental disorder, which is what insurance companies use to justify paying for transition.
So are we saying like that's actually kind of it sucks, but it's kind of a good thing?
No, this isn't just straight up a good thing.
Right.
It's taking the fact that you are trans from being a mental disorder rather than the fact that you need to go through your transition being the disorder that needs treatment.
Right.
Once that's done, you don't have gender dysphoria anymore.
Yeah.
You no longer have any diagnosable conditions unless you have something else that needs treatment.
Which, I'm sure happens. depression, anxiety,
Yes.
PTSD. I mean, we could go down
Oh,
the
yeah.
list of all this stuff, but stuff that actually probably came along with the abuse that we just talked about.
Yep.
Yeah. Abuse is stupid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, don't I know it?
All right, so for a fun one, the Vatican hosted the Understanding Unbelief Conference to discuss the findings of research conducted by the University of Kent with a grant from the Templeton Foundation, which is a conservative Christian creationist foundation.
Sounds like it.
And among their findings, they discovered that non-believers are not unethical people, and most ascribe to objective moral values.
Right.
Yep.
Great. So they're actually like discussing this like in religious organizations. Like,
At the Vatican, they're talking about this.
yeah. So because like that drives me crazy. Like I hate the argument that if you don't believe in God, it means that you don't have any values. I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Or morals or whatever.
I'm sorry. Yeah. It also means that I'm not going to kill an entire race of people because God told me to.
Exactly.
I'm going to do it because I want to, and I decided it's the right course of action.
Or my voice in my head.
Yep.
Yeah.
They also found that the purposeless unbeliever with nothing to ascribe ultimate meaning in the universe to does not bear scrutiny. It's not that we don't have anything to ascribe ultimate meaning to. It's that the entire concept of needing something to ascribe ultimate meaning to in the universe is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can just be a thing.
We find meaning in our lives.
Yeah.
That is fulfilling.
I mean, it's also hard, though, if you grew up religious or around a lot of religious people, I'm sure.
Yeah, that is tough. Like my whole...
To then, because sometimes, I've talked about this on numerous occasions, sometimes I even put, I mean, I get into this very spiritual thing, and then I'm like, hey, guess what? Dumb. Like, why are you sure? It's like wishes, you know? It's like sometimes I'm like, yes, I need to believe in something, this universe. And then I'm like, okay, all right, let's be rational here.
Yeah.
That is on your own part and own doing. You are a autonomous human being that you don't have an outside thing controlling you.
Right. Yeah, that's my whole point of view too.
But it's tough sometimes back and forth.
And like I've found in my own life, Lauren and Kylie provide a lot of meaning in my life.
Yeah, that's good.
The podcast and the listeners provide a lot of meaning in my life. Camping provides a lot of meaning in my life. Linux provides meaning in my life. My job does not.
Right.
But still, there are lots of things that provide meaning in my life.
Right.
But your job can be like a means to an end because providing for your family is a meaning. Yeah.
It's nice that people are talking about, I mean, there's so much stuff to talk about, but
yeah, you can not believe in God and be a moral
right,
person.
exactly. That's nice. That's good.
So more of their findings. Most non-believers identify as having no religion, not atheist or agnostic, and have a wide variety of supernatural beliefs.
That's what I was just talking about.
That's
a hippie.
There's
that's spiritual Iadolia, but whatever.
The 20 to 30% of Americans that identify with no religion, depending on which survey you look at, 3 to 6% are atheist, and usually 5 to 10% identify as agnostic.
Right. Which I mean that spiritual thing. I think that's still residuals from being a church culture, like a Puritan, a church, a thing still a thing that it's like, okay, I can't quite say that there's not, like I'm saying, like
you were raised UU.
I was raised
the wishy-washiest of liberal religious traditions.
Yeah, but they're great.
That's insidious.
Yeah, the most non-religion, most pick and choose whatever you want of religion or nothing at all. We don't care. It's fine.
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
If you don't give a fuck, turn to page 73.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And if you give a little bit of a fuck, turn to page 67.
Which, you know, I also like the fact that what's come out of Unitarian Universalism is it does empower youth to have a feeling of their own choice and autonomy as a person, as opposed to being like, hey, you 7-year-old, you believe in God, and in a year we're gonna take you through these classes, and you're gonna get baptized. You know what I mean? Like all these other church things where I feel like sometimes when I meet you people, either they're on a spectrum of you're kind of crazy, me, or because I'm so confused, or there are people who I'm like, man, you really have this choice. And I feel like they have healthier relationships too, because there's also like the whole Our Whole Lives program there, which is a sex ed thing.
Yeah.
Out of school. It's a comprehensive lesson that they start teaching kids in preschool. And just things like, this is what it looks like, and this is what a male's bathroom looks like, and this was what a female's I mean...
Yeah, remove the mystery.
Right, exactly. And so there's...
What is your obsession with my forbidden closet of mystery?
All right. So anyway, I mean, there's pros and cons to all these things, but they are very wishy-washy.
Oh, yeah.
And I like this, like now when I look at it, I don't necessarily like going to the services because it's just organized religion just makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. Right.
You know, but they have a lot of good social justice
and
stuff that I love. And that's the big
It's easy to break a hard piece of okay, my metaphor is not working.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. What I was wanting to say is it's hard to break away from a wet noodle, but that's not true. It's hard to break a wet noodle.
Yeah, for sure.
But the metaphor just isn't working out. But
no, I think what you're
there.
saying is that, like, you know, it came out of a very Christian religion. So it's still got a lot of backbone in a very Christian religion. But what... I feel like I'm slurring a little bit. I don't mean to be.
You're just speaking in cursive. It's
right, exactly. But you know, but trying to be very much like, hey, if you feel like you need a place to be, we're here, we're welcoming, because you feel like this helps. I mean, that's a very, very broad, generalized description of it.
All right, so the final conclusion of all of these, basically summing up everything that they found in this study, is that basically all popular assumptions about non-believers are bullshit.
Yay!
Atheists. They're just like us.
Yeah. Turns out, in every measurable way, they are just like real humans.
Yeah. I mean, an atheist is going to tell you they're an atheist and then talk to you about other stuff.
Yeah.
But... yeah. I mean, there was that whole meet an atheist thing where I'm like, I can't be in a room with all of you people.
Except you actually, I went for a couple years, and it was mostly talking about Linux and cars.
For you.
And porn.
Yeah, for you.
There was actually a lot of porn talk.
Because of all the repressed stuff. Yeah. And I totally get that. I got a lot of, when I went there, and it was just not my experience. And I'm not saying that the meetup was bad. It was just a lot of like, oh, this trauma from this stuff that I had growing up. And I'm like, don't identify, and I can't sit here and shit on a bunch of people.
That meetup goes through cycles where you've got a new class coming in, basically, who need help recovering from religion. And then they figure out, they can just have fun and talk about stuff with other like-minded people.
Right.
And then they have a tendency to hook up and get married and stop showing up.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. I mean, and I get it. Trauma is hard. And we'll talk about that in Aaron out the dirty laundry.
Is that a real segment?
Yep.
It's behind the
patron-only section. Segment. Yep.
That's why I don't get to see it, because I don't want to cough up $2 a month.
Oh, it's soon. Yep.
All right. So the Ark Encounter, Ken Ham's theme park featuring a replica of Noah's Ark, is suing their insurance companies for $1 million.
Dr. Evil chimes in.
For flood damage.
That's just delicious. There's nothing else to say about that. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Okay, now, the insurance companies aren't paying at all, which means the Ark Encounter bought flood insurance because flood damage is not covered in normal policies. It's its own special thing.
Right, like most people should know that.
So they bought flood insurance for the Ark Park, and then the insurance company did pay for some of the damage, but they didn't want to cover design deficiencies or faulty workmanship.
Yeah, you didn't use the right number of cubits.
And And what's even better, you know what they screwed up so bad in designing?
What?
The access road.
Well, that's the most important part.
You build a fucking replica of the Ark and a theme park, and you can't even design a fucking road?
Dumb. I mean, that's all I can say.
Oh, man.
Just think of all those poor dead animals.
Can you think of could you also, I just think of the money that you have to do all this stuff, and where it could actually be used for good instead of dumb.
Well,
not even evil. It's just
the state
dumb.
of Kentucky. The state of Kentucky did help out with that a little bit.
I guess I got lucky in Kentucky.
That's fun.
Yeah. All right. So the next story is somebody who didn't want to get lucky. A 7-year-old Florida man stood through his sunroof while driving 100 miles per hour down the highway. Because he wanted to get arrested.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he wouldn't have to go home to his controlling wife.
Right.
And as for why he was standing out through the sunroof, he was praising God.
That's what he said?
Yep.
Oh. I feel like we've talked about this.
Wait, did Jesus take the wheel?
Not this story.
No.
We've had other ones.
Oh, I feel like it's been recently, but it must not have been on the podcast that I was talking specifically about this one. Did Jesus take the wheel? Well, obviously, because now he doesn't have to go home to his wife. So thank you, Jesus. Thank you, baby Jesus.
Now, it was only misdemeanor reckless driving.
Well, he didn't even get the intention done, right? Did he?
That's only a couple days, and his wife is going to be really mad and probably take his keys away.
You know what's probably the issue is that they're very religious, obviously, so they don't believe in divorce.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, that's one we had recently where the woman killed her husband for looking at porn.
No, I remember that, but this is this specific story that
God, I'd have been murdered 3 times today.
But what's really mind-boggling here is he got his car up to over 100 miles an hour, probably to the governor, set cruise control, then
there's video of it.
Opened up the yeah, there is.
Like, was he steering with his feet?
Yeah.
Basically,
open up the sunroof, get out, and steer with 1 foot.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And luckily there wasn't, I mean, he picked a road that there wasn't people on as far, I mean, not too many people
and he was going really fast? How fast was it?
Over 100.
Yeah.
Jeebus.
Well, you know, that's the problem with feeling like you're stuck in a situation. You can definitely go a little crazy.
Yeah, there's always outs. You shouldn't feel trapped in your bad relationships.
Yeah.
Whether it be with a wife or a husband or a mistress.
Or just
or
a lover.
Priest or your God.
Or your cellmate.
Or your cellmate.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we don't have any feedback, but if you want to support the show, you can find out how at atheistnomads.com/donate. We love support.
Yes, we do.
Freethinker 215 and Marge Simpson support American Atheists.
Mm-hmm.
That is the name on Patreon.
Nice.
Upped his pledge again.
Awesome.
So thank you.
Thank you.
It's all due to my appearances.
Absolutely.
And Aaron, what do you have to plug?
On June 22nd, there is going to be a backyard benefit. Please find it on Facebook. You can go to Red Mike Comedy on Facebook and find the outside comedy show with Matteo Martinez. It's a benefit to raise awareness and money for the Pride Foundation. Just if anybody is wondering, it doesn't have anything to do necessarily with Pride Week or weekends, although I think they do work. But the Pride Foundation primarily works to make a community more better for LGBTQ plus individuals. And specifically, they have a very good scholarship program because it's statistically known that LGBTQ individuals do not go on to higher learning. And so they really try to make a push to have scholarships so they make it easier. And this is just, I was introduced to them a year ago, and they are an amazing organization, and I am poor, so I can't do anything monetarily. And I've been wanting to do something, and then got into comedy, and my friend has an amazing backyard, and so we joined together, and we're raising money
Nice.
through a comedy show.
So you
Good job.
started doing comedy, yet you are still poor.
Yeah, right.
Unheard of.
I know,
All right.
right?
And Jason, what do you have to plug?
Well, coming up on June 9th at Edge Brewing in Boise, Idaho, I will be the featured comedian upon the stage, in which other comedians will also appear.
Yeah.
And
We-
Erin Riley will host,
Yes.
and she will do it better than
Yeah.
she ever has before.
Because Jason's there supporting me.
Yeah, I'll coach
All
her.
right.
Yeah.
August 17 is Boise Corgi Fest. Lauren is the organizer of that, and she's away, so I am taking care of
Yeah,
Kylie, so
perfect.
I am mentioning this. And I have also decided that job searching is frustrating, so now instead of trying to get one job, I am going to try to get about 10.
Yeah.
So I am trying to launch a podcast production business, Nomad Studio Productions. You can find out more
Yeah.
at nomads with an S .studio.
Yeah.
Stu.
If you are in the Boise area, I would love to work with you and can host your recording sessions, take care of the full process.
Yeah.
If you are not in Boise, I can only take care of post-production, but I can also provide coaching on how to get things set up for yourself. So if you are interested in these services, they are not going to be cheap because it takes a lot of time
It does.
and a lot of work. And
Yeah.
I have 7 years of experience with this.
Right.
And the goal is to create a sustainable, livable wage to support the family with podcasting. So if you are interested in these services, check out nomads.studio.
This is amazing because I was just talking to somebody about you the other day. And specifically this, and I was going to talk to you, but then I forgot until you just said that. And so I'm so excited to hear that. That's so amazing.
Yeah, way cool.
And listeners, remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.